Thank you for joining us today on Cape Chronicle. I'm Audra Kane. In this episode, we will be talking with two Cape Girardeau police officers with a special guest from the K-9 unit and Dr. Vijay Anand of Southeast Missouri State University's cybersecurity program. That's all ahead on Cape Chronicle.
I've been delivering Meals on Wheels to Leon for 13 years.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Leon has definitely inspired me to put more into my relationships. He really cared for his wife, who was ailing for quite a while, in such a touching way that inspired me to be a better person.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch. Welcome to Cape Chronicle. I'm Audra Kane. The Cape Girardeau Police Department's K-9 program expanded in recent years thanks to tremendous community support. And here to talk about the program, the K-9s, and that outpouring of support is K-9 Supervisor Sergeant Brian Blanner and Patrolman John Spencer and his K-9 partner, Thor. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Well, this is exciting because, I mean, who doesn't love dogs? And when you get to talk to people who appreciate the incredible ability of dogs and then get to work with them too, it's like a win-win for me. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm actually going to start with you, Spencer and Thor. I'm just a beautiful dog. How old?
2.5 years.
2.5, okay. And how long have you two been partnered?
We've been on the street for a year, been together for about a year and 8 weeks.
Okay. And what prompted you to join the K-9 unit?
I love dogs. So it was just a natural progression. It was an opening that I always wanted to pursue, and it just so happened to present itself pretty early in my career. Mm-hmm. They're amazing animals. I love what they do. And like I said, it's just that natural relationship between a patrolman and his dog.
Okay. So we talked earlier, and you were just getting off a shift at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Is that difficult to work with the dog in an overnight situation?
He keeps the same schedule I do. Mm-hmm. So when I work night shift, we feed him twice a day. He sleeps when I do, mostly when he's not jumping around in his kennel. And then he's in the vehicle with me in the kennel when I'm working. So when we go home, he usually sleeps just like I do. And so we kind of stay on the same schedule.
So you're together 24/7?
Yes, ma'am.
All the time, never separated?
No.
What happens if you, and this is just a sideline question because I'm just going to ask it because I know somebody's thinking it. What happens if you travel?
We're lucky that our training facility will board our dogs.
Okay.
That's where we go to train, and they kind of work with them while we're gone. So if we go on vacation, they board them for us.
Okay, so that training facility, where is that?
It's Riverview K-9.
And is that
just outside of Cape City limits? Yes.
Oh, okay. So, and I'm curious about the training that goes on. So I'll switch to you, Blanner, and ask you about that because I know that you've been with the K-9 unit for a while. You've been you're a former handler. You
Yes, ma'am.
had a dog. What kind of training goes into being a part of that program?
A lot, to be perfectly blunt. You start out with an 8-week training. That's for both the dog and the handler. You go through and you just kind of learning each other as well as what exactly the job entails. After that 8-week training, they have continuous training throughout the year. It's every other week now. They go out there, 16 hours minimum per month that they go out and just refine those skills, make sure that they're top notch. And again, as kind of Patrolman Spencer was saying, we're very fortunate that we have Riverview K-9 so close to us. It's a renowned facility, and they make sure that we're putting out the best dogs that can be put out.
How many dogs are in the Cape Girardeau K-9 unit?
The actual unit that we have is expanded now to 4 dogs.
Oh, wow. And is that normal for a city of this size, or is it
We're exceptionally fortunate, to be honest with you. Normally, although these are amazing tools and tools that any law enforcement agency wants because they help out so much, they get drugs and the worst of the worst criminals off the street. they're also exceptionally expensive, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
So we are very, very fortunate. As you kind of talked about before, we had an outpouring of support from the community that we were, to be honest, taken aback by. We had a very lofty goal of $50,000 to be raised over the course of a year. And we surpassed that. I think the last count was a little over 80,000, and we did that in less than half the time.
And what do those funds go for? I mean, of course it goes for training the dogs, but I'm assuming that it costs money to purchase a dog of this caliber.
Yes. To purchase, the initial purchase and the initial 8-week training that both the handler and the dog go through is around $12,000 to $14,000. So again, it's expensive. And then you have the yearly maintenance, not only the yearly training that they go through. Like I said, it's 16 hours minimum a month. So that training also adds up, but you have vet visits, you have preventative care such as heartworm medication and things of that nature, supplements. It gets expensive. Also, because we surpassed our goal, we were very fortunate that we were able to not only expand the division to 4 dogs, but we're able to take care of our retired dogs. We now have 2 retired dogs at the PD, and we're able to maintain their care and things of that nature as well.
And one of those dogs is your farmer partner, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your dog's name?
It was Shupa.
Shupa. And does Shupa live with you?
Yes, yes.
And is that normal that a handler would maintain that kind of relationship with a dog?
Absolutely. I don't know many handlers that have given up their dogs after they retire. This is, it's an incredible bond. As Patrolman Spencer talked about, this is your partner 24/7, and to kind of give them up after a career, it's almost impossible. Shupa now spends his time at my house. He's not on a strict diet anymore, so he's enjoying retirement and getting treats and things like that. So, but it's an amazing bond. We're still best buddies.
Well, and speaking of the dogs themselves, what do you think that this program, the Canine Unit program, brings to the community or to law enforcement as far as relating to the community and then also protecting the community?
It does an incredible job of both, to be honest with you. This is an incredible tool, demonstration-wise. I don't even have the amount of demonstrations that we do, whether it's civic groups, schools, churches, whatever it happens to be. But it's an incredible way to interact with the community that you serve, to let them know what the Canine Division does, show them what they supported us for, and the abilities that they have. And as far as the abilities that they have, it's tremendous. I mean, when I started, I was taken aback by everything they can do. Anything from narcotic detection, tracking, building searches, crowd control, handler protection. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on.
Do they go, you said searches, do they go on any kind of missing person searches or things like that? Because I know we have some volunteer groups in the community, but are they ever involved in that kind of thing?
Yes. When we're involved in that, it's kind of something that's happened very recently. Several years ago, for instance, we had a mentally handicapped girl who walked away from home in the middle of winter. Just kind of one of those, the parents had put her to bed and she kind of snuck out of the house. Because of the conditions that were outside, freezing temperatures, she was in just pajamas, things of that nature. We actually deployed Shupa to attempt to locate her, and we're able to do that.
Oh, wow. And so when things like that happen, there's a good outcome. I'm sure that's pretty rewarding for you all.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the other side of that is the criminal aspect of Thor's job. And what kind of impact do you think that has in the community as far as helping you to better do your jobs?
It's tremendous. I know the amount of usages that we have each year, the amount of drugs that we take off the street, the amount of bad guys that we take off the street because these dogs are there. They do, hey buddy, they do a job that we can't, to be perfectly honest with you. They can smell the narcotics that we can't. They can find the people who are hiding that we can't. The asset to the community that these dogs are it's immeasurable.
I'm going to go back to you and ask you, Blanner, what's a typical day like for you all, for you and Thor? Starting off your shift, and what kinds of things do you do together?
First, we wake up. He has a daily feeding schedule that he has to be fed approximately an hour before we deploy. That way his food has time to settle on it, bloat, things of that nature don't set in. Come in. It's hard to say like a typical day because our days aren't typical. We can't really plan exactly what we're going to do. I like to go out and be proactive, like try to look for crime, stop it before it happens. Obviously, a lot of our job is being dispatched and responding to other officers' requests for us. See it. But a benefit of my job is being proactive. That's what I'm allowed to do where they place me within the unit, to be able to go out, try to get narcotics off the street, try to track subjects that run from us. Also, I know kind of a misconception, like you were talking about with the public on the criminal element, is the apprehension part. That's rare, like as far as him biting somebody. Mostly he de-escalates situations, because when they see a canine there, they're more likely to be calm. There's more likely to be an easier situation to handle. There's not uses of forces that people would see. Without the dog, they might think they can get one over on you. And when he's there, whether they're scared or they just know what he can do, then they calm down.
Well, and we have dogs. He doesn't make me nervous, but are there occasions sometimes when in a demonstration situation, sometimes people are nervous and you have the opportunity to maybe calm them?
It's good to be nervous. I'm nervous around him sometimes.
Okay.
He's high energy. It's good to get. The thing with our demonstrations we're able to give out to the public is these aren't pets. They're
Right.
work animals. So it's good to tell people not to come up and try to pet him, because again, there's some dogs that are more sociable. He's not one of them. He loves me. He protects me. But as far as other people in the public, you can see he's kind of just high energy. If you reach out to try to touch him, he might try to bite you.
Might not be a good thing. I know there is a large conference coming to Cape Girardeau next fall. Is that right?
Yes.
Of dogs like this.
Yes, ma'am. What are the dates?
September 22nd through the 27th.
And what will they be doing?
It's the Missouri Police Canine Association's fall conference. Basically, we're very tentative planning on the actual demonstration, but we're going to have a public demonstration. It'll be dogs from around the state, all coming in for training purposes, but at the end of it, it'll culminate in a public demonstration, just kind of showing off the skills that the dogs have and why we have them.
Okay, well, and exciting. I'm sure kids will be interested in seeing some of the demonstrations,
absolutely, yes.
because children are always fascinated with animals. So, any other thoughts about Thor? Is there anything in particular that maybe helps you calm him when he does get overexcited?
I mean, like I said, as far as getting overexcited, that's just his nature. That's one thing they look for when they're choosing working dogs, because they have to have that high drive, high energy, that high willingness to work, so they're not just, how we have pets that just want to be lazy and lay around the house all day. He's not like that. He wants to go out, and in his mind, he's playing every day. This is what he does. To us, he's working for us, but in his mind, he's playing. He's enjoying his life. Anytime he does his job, he gets his reward, which is his toy. We get to play. Every bit of training to him is playing.
Wow.
So he wakes up and enjoys it.
He's beautiful, and thank you so much for bringing him to see us today, and thank you both so much for coming in to chat with us, and looking forward to that conference next fall. We've been talking with Sergeant Brian Blanner and Patrolman John Spencer. Thanks again for coming by and bringing Thor. On the way, we'll talk with CMO's cybersecurity expert, Dr. Vijay Anand, next on Cape Chronicle.
I'm Rudy Tempesta. I'm 92 years old. I fought in World War II. Then I came home, worked for the post office for 70 years. I've been getting Meals on Wheels, and I enjoy it. The most important thing about Meals on Wheels is you meet the people, which to me is fantastic. You need people to keep your brain moving. That's what life is about. It's love and having a conversation with people.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Welcome back to Cape Chronicle. I'm Audra Kane. Missouri Governor Mike Parson recently celebrated Southeast Missouri State's accreditation in the university's computer science department, and specifically for the cybersecurity program. We are joined now by the director of the program, Dr. Vijay Anand. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm very excited because I remember when this program came to Southeast in was it 2011?
2011.
Okay,
yes.
and it was pretty exciting. So now that it's, who's this accreditation that I mentioned? Who is that from?
So ABET is a I would say a private accreditation body that accredits most of the technical programs throughout the country. They have three commissions. One is the Engineering Accreditation Commission, the other one is Computing Accreditation Commission, and the third one is Engineering Technology Accreditation Commission. So they accredit all kinds of engineering and technology related programs.
And that's ABET, so it's Accreditation Board of Engineering and Technology.
Correct.
Is this something that had taken some time developing the program for it to reach this stage?
Yeah, so ABET never had a accreditation structure for cybersecurity.
Oh.
So this was the first time ABET was trying to accredit a cybersecurity program. They had accreditation for computer science and computer engineering. So we didn't really have a structure under which we could go for accreditation. And what ABET was trying to do, that when cybersecurity became a national cause, they wanted to create accreditation structure, and they selected 4 universities which they would go and try to accredit those programs, and we were one of those 4 universities.
That's pretty exciting because there's probably a lot more than 4 that are trying to offer this program.
Absolutely.
And cybersecurity being in the news almost every day, we hear about hacking and interruption of our voting system and those kinds of things. So I'm sure that the department was probably excited. What did it mean for you personally for the program to be accredited?
For me, it meant that my students are getting an accredited degree, and that's what matters, is whatever students eventually get, how they are perceived in the industry, and that's what makes everything good. So it doesn't matter what my accomplishments are. I think my students actually get a degree that is ABET accredited, and that too one of the only in all of US.
Well, and that's nice to hear you say that it's not about you, that it's about the students. That's one of the best parts about Southeast Missouri State University, is that so often students are put first because they should be, right?
Right.
The department's computer science program also received accreditation, and you're part of that as well, as like an umbrella. And when I think I said a minute ago that the cybersecurity program was begun in 2011. Were you here at the offset? I mean, like this beginning of all of this?
Yeah, so when the cybersecurity program started, I was hired into the cybersecurity program, and I've been the director of that program until now, all these years, trying to make sure the program grows and it is well recognized and all that stuff.
How many students did you start out with at the very beginning?
Approximately 14 students.
Wow.
When I came in here.
And so you had a lot of time to focus on them. As the program has grown to, how many students are enrolled this semester?
Approximately 153 students.
So that's a big difference over a short period of time. I mean, that's, a huge amount of growth.
Yes.
So that's like, what, 1,000%? I know some math. So what is the difference now in the program than it was then?
So when we started out, we didn't really have a guideline with respect to where we should go. I had a lot of industry experience, and I used to train occasionally for like professionals in security. So I took some of those ideas and tried to make our program more industry oriented as possible. Initially, whatever curriculum we had, it was not always industry oriented, but I tried to change something towards that. And then what I did was I actually try to reach out to industry in the local area as well as in the national area to have a look at our curriculum and tell us what else do you expect out of a student coming out of a program like ours. And whatever feedback they gave us, we try to incorporate that into our curriculum. And our students, therefore, would have a curriculum which will put them pretty good in a good position when they go into the industry. They should be operational within the industry within 3 to 6 months from the time of their start.
You said that you reached out to industry locally. So did you find some good partners that were able to kind of guide you along that have still stayed with you through this time period?
Yeah. So our industrial advisory board that we have many of the local industries, including the Southeast Health, St. Francis, Big River Telecom, as well as in the greater St. Louis area, we have PricewaterhouseCoopers, Enterprise, Snooks, MasterCard, and all those other people who have given their ideas to us, and we have tried as much as we can to incorporate those ideas into our curriculum.
And some of those names have been in the news in recent years for things like hacking and loss of personal data and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's hugely beneficial to you to be able to turn to them and say, what did you do in this situation?
Absolutely, yeah. Their insight is very good. But I also come from industry. I have a lot of people I know in industry. So my friends who I worked with, they're right now like security directors in different companies. So I get input from them with respect to what's going on in the industry and how they are dealing with it. So all those information is very helpful with respect to making our program better.
Do you have government agencies reaching out to you for information or perhaps, an interest in graduates from the program?
Interest in graduates for sure. Some of my students have at least interviewed with different governmental agencies. I think only one person went to the military and one person interviewed with FBI, and his thing was ongoing by the time he graduated, so I don't know where he is right now. But he had other offers also. So there are definitely some people who have tried to get into the governmental agencies.
Well, and that's it, with it being such a growing industry, and when you started out, it probably wasn't as widespread.
Right.
And so what brought you to the university? I'm curious about how you made that leap from, the industry itself over into teaching.
So I had to finish my PhD. So I went to do my PhD after many years in the industry. And then I was looking at teaching and education as a career, and then I looked at different options, and Southeast had a career in cybersecurity. At least the position was open then, so I applied, and I've been here since then.
And one of the things that you said, you talked about students coming out of the program, and that's something I'm really curious about, is how easy are they finding jobs? Are they walking out and almost immediately finding positions?
So I would say we have nearly 100% placement.
Great.
The industry at this point needs a lot of cybersecurity professionals, and so students coming out of the program, they definitely get many offers. And I would say at least they should have 2 offers by the time they graduate.
That's exciting.
And in their final year or the junior year, they should have at least an internship offer also. That's something that is very common.
Is an internship part of the program?
No, it is not.
Okay. And speaking of those jobs in the industry, this is not like a bottom of the barrel position. No. You're being paid well when you're working
Absolutely.
in cybersecurity, right?
Yes. So the students on an average would make around $70,000 to $75,000 coming out of an undergraduate program. some of the best students that we have, they go 100,000 and above.
And that's a nice start. Maybe in New York City they might bump it up a little bit higher, but certainly in St. Louis they could probably find something. Do you see students that are finding positions in like Silicon Valley or in the Austin, Texas area where there's a lot of industry and tech?
Yeah, so our students, they generally go out throughout US. There is many stay in the St. Louis area because they have ties to the area. Some of them stay in Cape because of ties to the area, but many students go out. And I have had students who are working all over the country right now. Students in Portland, Oregon, and some people in the Bay Area, some people in the East Coast, Boston. I had just a student who got hired at Boston. So it's all over the country. It's no more like, this is the only place our students go to. It's all over the country.
Well, with you being an international transplant, are there some international students who come into the program?
Yeah, there are definitely some international students, but our program is, I would say, 85 to 90% local and 10 to 15% at max international. It is primarily a local student-driven program.
Really? So you're seeing a lot of students coming from local area high schools?
At least from Missouri and Illinois. Wow. Oklahoma for some reason, I don't know.
Well, I think we may have a tuition sharing kind of thing where they don't have to pay out of state. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But I know a lot of students come from Oklahoma into Missouri because it's a nice place to go to school. Southeast is a great place.
Absolutely.
Well, it's very interesting to talk to you. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for putting the students first. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We've been talking again with Dr. Anand of Southeast Missouri State University's Cybersecurity Program. Thank you for joining us today for Cape Chronicle. The program is a collaboration between the Department of Mass Media at Southeast Missouri State University and the City of Cape Girardeau. Our producer is Nicolette Brennan, the Public Information Officer for the City of Cape, and our executive producer is Dr. Jim Dufek. I'm Audra Kane. Thanks for watching.